The rhythm of life. When I thought about, Kirk always tells me the songs, of course, and the rhythm of life reminded me of when we're in tune with life, we're living the best version of ourselves. How does that feel? Just living as the best version of who we are. But we know that's an unfolding process. It doesn't just happen like that. We may get glimpses of it. But to truly live consistently with the best we can be, we have to be in tune and be lifted by Spirit. So I'm going to tell you a story. I told you I'd tell you a little bit about my boyfriend. And yes, he is 807 years old, but he's still so alive in my life. In fact, he's so alive in the United States, the most famous poet right now, massive followers, and around the world. He wasn't always that, though. He wasn't always that ecstatic, mystic poet that just awakens our soul. He actually started out as a wealthy nobleman, a theologian, and rather a stuffy, sober scholar until he met a certain person. A person, Shams al-Tabriz, was a wandering mystic monk who became Rumi's son, his light. Just as Reverend Pam was reading, we need that light to guide us. And of course we have the light of Spirit, but sometimes we need a go-between. Sometimes we need something to ignite the passion and the light in us so we get out of our heads and into our hearts and really start living. You know, we can't be connected with that golden thread or be lifted by Spirit simply by living in our minds. Our minds can get us to the door, but our hearts are what lift us to the greater expression. So Shams and Rumi were lover, beloved, disciple, sheikh. We don't know their exact relationship, but we do know that it ignited Rumi's light, and it was then that he became a mystic. But it didn't stop there. His life didn't just stop by falling in love with either a teacher, a mentor, or a beloved. But what happened next is they had this electric friendship for 3 years that ignited both of them. And then Shams disappeared somewhere. And they think possibly he was killed, murdered by Rumi's jealous son. Rumi went into a deep, deep, deep depression. He saved himself by his poetry. Let me tell you about his poetry. When he spoke his poetry in the 13th century, he spoke it in Persian, and he always had music playing somewhere. Because his poetry was about healing the soul, opening the heart. He'd have some type of music because he knew that music lifted his soul. He integrated dance and poetry and singing and music in his religious practices. And that was really what made him come alive. And his poetry lasted, his main poetry was between the age of 37 to 67. But then look at that. And his poetry laid a little bit stagnant for many, many years until I was watching a video of Coleman Barks, the man who translated the beautiful poetry of Rumi. And when the first fellow came on, I thought, who's this guy? He kind of looks like Santa Claus, and he's sweet, but who is this? And it's Coleman Barks, and he talked about his journey and how he got awakened to Rumi through mentors of his own. So today, when we're talking about lifted by Spirit, I'm going to read a couple of the poems of Rumi's just right now, the little short quotes. I think the first quote I heard of Rumi's ever, it was on a bumper sticker. You may have seen it too. It was many, many, many years ago. And it said, out beyond the thoughts of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I will meet you there. I just went, I'm there. I'm so there. I'm really there. I want to be there. And that was just on a little bumper sticker. And then little by little, it all came around. And I just, when I'm feeling a little off-center? Do you ever get that way? Hello, we're alive. I can read, it's not my only thing, but we need the things that are the sun, that spark the light, and certainly Rumi's short little quibs can just, he says, when you do things from your soul, and that's that place within us that knows the truth, the spirit of truth that is right here. When you do things from the soul, it's like a river of joy is flowing through you. That's the true meaning. He also says, the way to heaven is within. Shake the wings of love. Shake those wings of love. When love's wings have become strong, there is no need to trouble for a ladder. He says, and this I'll address in just a minute, but he says, you've seen your own strength. You've seen your own beauty. You've seen your own great golden wings. Then why do you worry so much? He talks about that all the time. That why do we stay in prison when the door is wide open? Why are we crawling when we have wings? It's all about liberation, freeing, lifting ourselves to a greater expression. And he goes on to say, when the mind sees only boundaries, we know how that is, right? When the mind sees only boundaries, love knows the secret way there. So I want you to be thinking about this teaching, the teachings of my boyfriend today, and the sun in his life. He could write such beautiful poetry because not only his love for Shams, a teacher, a mentor that believed in him when he was stuck in his own little world, that could expand him into something greater, but it was also his love for God. His love for this power greater than we are that's there for us always. So he had this love of a mentor and a teacher and a beloved and a God. And he also had to learn from that deep tragedy. Yes, this might have been done, but this lesson of losing someone he loved so much also taught him the gifts he could find from separation. He learned a lot about there is no death. He learned about this from the hardships, as so many of us do and have done. We've learned from the hardships in our life. So today, it's so interesting to me because I can hear the world crying for us to wake up. But not just wake up physically, wake up spiritually. It's going, wake up, it's time. It's time now for us to be spiritually awake. And you think, well, yeah, there's a natural evolution to life. There's a natural evolution that wants us to grow and become something more. So it's time. Well, no. 5,000 years ago, the great indigenous souls, the great ancient souls were teaching the truth that God is all there is. The great creator is all there is. The infinite intelligence, whatever we call it, is all there is. And we are that expression. And we're here to live life in beautiful, wonderful, healing, compassionate, joyful ways. But we lost the wisdom because we couldn't see beyond our eyesight. We couldn't see from our inner sight. We couldn't believe what we didn't see. And then Jesus came along 2,000 years later with the same teachings. And yet it was so hard to wake people up because we get so stuck in the things that keep us small. We stay so stuck in the little things. And Jesus, when his disciples were so terrified at the night in the Garden of Gethsemane in the night before his death, and he wanted them to know, he said, you believe in God, believe also in me. He wanted them to know that death doesn't mean someone is gone for good. Physically, yes, but not gone. And he wanted them to know the spirit of truth will be in you forever. That's that innate wisdom. That's the inner knowing. It's there forever. And he told them at that time, he said, I'm going to pray to God. I'm going to ask God to give you a comforter, a blankie, a helper, a counselor, an advocate, something that will help you know that you have that inner wisdom within. And he called it the Holy Comforter that knows the truth that resides within all of us. So if we would believe that, you and I could just go and we could live that best version of ourselves every single day. Doesn't that sound fun? Yes. Are we ready? Yes. We may say so, but it's got to be ready right here. You see, what happens is we want to live this expanded life, but we choke ourselves. You know, there is this golden thread that keeps us connected. Now, we say, well, I don't know there's a golden thread. Well, you might feel it as a longing inside yourself. And it may hurt sometimes, but it's a longing for something more. Have you felt that? You want more because, you know, we're vibrational beings, we're evolutionary beings. So there's always something calling us to sing at a higher octave, get to the upper room, know something more, vibrate at a higher level. It's in there. It's the inner urge in us, but it can also be called divine discontent. Because if we're just living in this physical world, it's going to be so dang uncomfortable when we don't know all the answers. When our mind isn't enough to know there's something so much bigger going on. You know, when Rumi said, why worry? We've talked about it. Worry is praying for exactly what you don't want. You and I have got to learn how to trust. You know, in order for us to spiritually awaken, there are no shortcuts. The only place that success comes before work is in the dictionary. It requires daily focus, discipline, and deliberate choice if we're going to let Spirit be our guide. If we're going to be lifted by Spirit, it's always there. It's always there. It doesn't mean necessarily in this moment the problem that we're standing in the midst of is going to be solved, but there'll be a knowing that every problem holds its own solution. That's the infinite intelligence of the world, that there's something more for us. So if we want to be lifted by Spirit, we've got to feel and know the connection. We have to keep our appointments with God. And you know what? It's open seating all the time. You don't have to have a direct time, a direct place anywhere to feel that connection. Now, there's 3 ways right now, just in this moment, just like that we can just connect. We can pray in our own way, whatever it is, simple, sweet and simple. Just saying, God is all there is. I am one with that infinite Spirit. Just that, the connection. You can also contemplate and just clear your mind for a moment and meditate and listen. Just breathe on your breath. Just make the space. Or you can start the conversation, which is a 2-way street. You can start asking really, 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 really good questions. Like, what's the next step I'm supposed to take? What do I need to let go of right now? What do I need to expand in my life? Any simple question, and the answer is there. So, all of that, but the most important part of staying connected and being lifted by Spirit, and this is probably one of the hardest, is to stay in the present moment. You know, we need to eliminate worry, absolutely. We need to let go of the past and present. How can you be connected when you're being pulled like this? You know, you can't. We have to find the present moment and focus on what's right in front of us. And if we do that, we have to have faith. We have to have faith that there is a power for good that's working for us all the time, not just sometimes. Again, it's something that we don't make an appointment for our good. It's there all the time. It's there every minute. We've got to trust that and know that. And we have to also know there's certain laws at work in the universe, spiritual laws that we can use to bring more goodness, prosperity, light, love, to open the window of truth in our life. And there's also, we have to have faith, not only that life is inherently good, but so are the people around us. Everyone is doing the best they can with the tools they have. And we can touch that rich, deep inner knowing inside of us. Ooh, we can get all charged up with light and love, and we can find meaning in our own life because we're connected to Spirit. But it cannot stop there. That rich, deep experience has to move out. If we know that life is circular, it's circular, we have got to share that love and goodness. We're not here to hold it. So we can ask, I need my life to be better. Okay, I want to be inspired and enriched and focused and all this so I can live a better life. Well, start asking how you can help somebody else. How can I help someone else? We get out of our own way. We start being in that flow, and we can't think of the universal wholeness of life. We can't think of the things that bring us together like love, light, music, joy, laughter, friendship, fun, connection, compassion, all that good without feeling better ourselves. Do you believe me? Is that true? There are a million ways that we can connect to Spirit. There are a million ways that we can kneel, which means humble ourselves, and kiss the ground. Feel the connection of life that's part of our heritage and part of who we are. I'm going to invite you right now as we close this part of our beautiful time together this morning. Just close your eyes. And as I said, unravel yourselves so you become that perfect, beautiful vehicle and channel for all the goodness that's ever present here in this moment and every moment. And as you just breathe in and feel the aliveness in your body, let it tingle, let it sparkle, let it just be beautiful and colorful and peaceful and harmonious as we just trust this beautiful vessel, this temple we have, the body that holds our soul, our spirit, our light, and our life. We just bless the vibration of our body in this moment. We open it to know the place that we just open ourselves is the place that Spirit speaks to us so beautifully. And as we're here in this moment, feel the beautiful flow of Spirit through us right now, the joy that is circling in us. We just make that space to know we are here to be lifted by Spirit. We're here to be opened to even the next best version of ourselves, the new possibilities in our life that we can't even see in this moment. And as we open ourselves, we listen with that inner ear, either as the Talmud, and what the Talmud says to that angel that even stands by every blade of grass. We know it's right by our ear, our inner ear, whispering, grow, grow. And then as we hear that, to know we're here to expand our love, to expand our light. We cannot help but generate love when we open ourselves in this beautiful way. And as we know and hear the beautiful angelic voices, we also hear the same thing that's been told to each and every rose, to each and every blossom, to the plants as they open and bloom. What is it that God is speaking to us right now? Telling us how we can grow and be the light, to be the sun in our own lives and the sun for others. And as we feel that, we feel the harmony, that quiet harmony that connects us all. And as we open to our next song, I'm just going to invite you to not only feel the love that you are already right here and right now, but to feel that flowing through you and connecting out into this world. To know that together we not only sing one song, we are united in the beautiful light of Spirit. We are lifted and ignited. And as we breathe in, we just simply listen and know this greater truth.